Kushit Ches Sif Aleph Yain Ubasiv Chatichas Dag She'ein Bil Simin. You have wine or meat or fish. It has no simin on the actual thing. You can tell that it's kosher. There's no scales. It wasn't cut in a certain way. Or you didn't see a nikur, whatever it is. Shehifki lo shalach biyad ovik achavim, and he sent it with a goy. Tzarich shnei chaysamois. You need two seals because a double seal means it's going to be hard to go ahead and to switch it and to fake and to put it back properly. One seal you can pull out, you can put it back. Two seals already is going to be not worth the trouble. But if you have yain mevushel sheichar or other wine that has other stuff in it, you can go on dvash that chaymitz, chalav akum, murais, pask, vina, any of these things which again any of these cases are Aruch is going to switch it for something from his house or from from the market down the block, whatever. So therefore if it's deraisa, we're choishesh. If it's derabanan, we're not as choishesh because even if it's a suffix derabanan, even if he switches, it's suffix derabanan. Rashi understood the time is because it depends on dvarim shebeyoker. These things are expensive, and so there's more of a power to say he'd want to switch it. Meaning he has there's a nice steak over there, and he'll switch it for something cheap, whatever. It's there's more of a chesher as opposed to you have milk or bread, things like that. Is not so much of a why should he mitarech himself. B'ikro the mechaber goes with the first shita, but there are going to be nafkaminas with shitas Rashi. The choshi yisu b'divrei seifrim, anything else which is also midrabanan. Shivkidu b'yadav kachavim mutar b'chaysim echad. It's mutar with one chaysim. V'yesh ovim she'af dvarim she'tzrichim shnei chaysimos. Even on the things you need two chaysimos, like two seals, like meat or whatever. I looked at this over. I'll explain in a sec. It's only if it's sent by you send it with a goy. He himself, the Mishaleach, the sender himself, is not going to be check the chaysim. A mafkid also liras chaysimoi. He's going to check. When he gives it back, he gives it to the goy, and he gives it back, and he's going to be able to see if his seal is broken or not. Then Yoreh, the guys are going to be afraid. He knows he's giving it back to the same Jew who gave it to him, and if he sees that the seal's broken, then he's gonna cause problems.
He's got a porter. He's just taking it to someplace else where the buyer is going to see it.
Right, or it's he's storing it for him, or whatever. So something like that. So therefore, or it's in a factory, and the mashgiach leaves it with them and comes back the next morning, right? Although I did hear a friend of mine said that he heard in there was a story that started he's in kashrus, so he said in the Star K, they said the story that it was in China. So once there was a mashgiach who went ahead and they the night before, in a factory, he had put in 100 boxes or whatever it was of stuff, 50, whatever, 100 boxes, counted them out, numbers, counted them how much, everything was sealed with Star K tape, whatever. Then they closed the door, sealed the whole door, Star K tape, fine, whatever. Comes back the next morning, opens up the door, goes inside, it's 150 boxes. With tape, and the door was sealed. They unsealed the door. I guess the Chinese they took the Star K tape, reproduced it, put a whole bunch of stuff, unsealed the door, carefully resealed the door. So they say it's not worth. I guess you have to know the Metzias. We'll see if the Metzias is such a thing would be worth it for them to even do two seals and it's not too hard. Then there's what to be worried about. We'll get into those more lemaisa. But I'll upon him. Even a shaleach, if he tells his friend, the receiver, what the seal looks like, And he told the guy, by the way, I told him what it looks like. Because he knows, the guy knows he's going to be checking and he's going to be afraid to start, playing games. This is the third shita. We had Rashi. I mentioned Rashi. The Mechaber is the other shita. It's the shita of Tam that the only person who needs two chaismos is a Yisrael chashud. That the answer is that Rabbeinu Tam holds that the only person who's really going to go ahead, go out of his way to switch something is a Yisrael Choshud. He's the only one who's gonna put the effort in to machshil or to whatever. The guy, just because he wants to, he wants has to be some actual like real financial gain, a real something to it, not just because he wants to. And but and the emphasis is one, it's often if you hear cautious agencies here and in as opposed to in America, I mentioned this, but I've heard this before, is that it's Yisrael Choshed is much more. You see, he's much more Choshed. And the hashgacha, the mashgichim here have to be so much more on top of what's going on, and as someone told me, like it's a real heavy job over here because they don't care, they don't want to care, they don't whatever. So Al so here, but Yisrael Choshed, or even in America Yisrael Choshed as well, you need two chayismos. But b'diavad you can be samich. You can be samich on this. Now the shilos which can pop up, as I said. What about getting? I mentioned getting pizza from. You have this. This kid who's not exactly the most kosher guy. I don't know. I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but often these delivery guys are not necessarily from, or they were from, or they weren't from. I don't know. These whatever. They're driving around in their scooters, or now they have a Yerushalayim. Here, I don't think they have Wolt. I think it's like DoorDash type thing. All right, so you have to know when we're getting to the protein about how does that mechaytzem echad. L'chachila needs definitely it's two chaytzem. The question is what and what. The shita of the Ramah is saying on one hand there's a kula by a goy, but it's a chomer by Yisrael Choshev because it doesn't make a difference what food you send with. You're gonna have a chash. So even if it's bread, even if it's what's it called? That this is what we're talking about. Well, let's see. Let's see. Sif Beis. Kivan sheichmiru hichasimu kiroi shnei chaysemois b'dvarim shetzarich shnayim. Once you sealed it properly with two chaysemois, tzarich shnayim ve'echad b'dvarim shetzarich shodai be'echad. Ein tzarich lachzarich acharav. You don't have to, send someone, spying after it. But in Chalzar al Chaysemoy, but if Velo Hikira, you don't have to go checking. You don't have to have spot checks, things like that. Nor do you have to.
You don't have to check the delivery person, or you don't have to check the seal.
The seal. You don't have to. You don't have to check carefully is the seal broken or not. You don't have to start looking and investigating it, whatever. Yeah, or well, in Chalzar al Chaysemoy, if he looks for it, Velo Hikira. And he doesn't recognize it's the same. He doesn't remember that being the chaysev aser, afil aser shtei chaysmos. You don't have to go searching carefully. That's a forgery or that whatever. But if you look and you notice there's something wrong with it, then even if it's like 30 chaysmos, then it's a raya that it was open. And once it's open, then there's a problem. We'll see. Again, this is only there's an umdana. There's a reason why he would switch it, and he would get hana out of switching it. Oshu yayin, we say it's yayin nesech, and by yayin. I mean nowadays you don't know this, but by yayin used to be that the goyim would go out of the way to touch it in order to menasech it. So there's a certain reason why would he go ahead and go through so much trouble. Well, in Rosh Adavar Sheshalach Hifkid, who Tov Kama Sheshalach, if he sees the thing and looks exactly the same, Lo Nena Ovikachavim Ichlifu, and we're not, and there's no Hana the guy is going to get if he switched it. And Lo Chashina, And then you don't have to worry at all. Afsha chaysim mekulkal. Even if the chaysim is messed up, ayin l'kaman of kuflam. We'll get into more of these dinim also in kuflamid. But the point is that because there has to be that first of all, it can be titled that it happened on the way, like it hit a bump and something punctured it, or or it got mishandled. You sent it to the mail, it got mishandled. I don't know, whatever it is. You don't have to be chayshish for it unless there's some reason why you'd think that they would open it and switch it, and I don't know what. But it's only if it has to be something that meaning it looks like it was something done by a person, and even if it was something it looked like it was something done by a person, it has to be. It's only something that reasonably he'd be reasonably want to switch it, not.
He means the both as he says the Rohai he sees it's okay, and it's something that he would be
Right, but so even if he sees it's not okay, but it's something where there's no reason for him to switch it, then there's no then it's okay. For example, with so let's say with
What he thinks is he sees something amiss, but it's not something that
there's no right, so it could just be you can be toilet. So like he didn't. Why would he split? There's no point. No, but he says to Tov. He says. The food is right on the food. Even if the chaysim is mekukol, so afal pikein, the food is right. The food is a certain tvias ayin, right?
So, but then when you just if you have
no, tvias ayin wouldn't be enough. You need a simon. You need a. I don't know if tvias ayin is enough. You need a simon, but like basar b'salim in ayin needs to be cut in a certain way.
Right. So tvias and simon are
two different things. Yeah, that's by Shabbos Aveda definitely mentions that. Tvias ayin is not necessarily a simon. Um, uh, but right, so it has to be something which is worth it. For these for stories, I don't know, whatever. Here, I don't know, whatever. That people, the pizza delivery guys. He was hungry on the way, so he ate a piece and then went into the pizza shop, and then to a different pizza shop and just brought another pizza and put it in. Okay, whatever. Okay, we'll see about whether it's if there aren't anything around. We'll see about the umdunas and things. But Al Panim, if it looks if it looks decent and it looks whatever, so then it's going to be we are going to be mako. Now let's see a little bit more. Gimel, we'll talk about more practical stuff in a minute. I'll give to see a lot here. Gimel, ois achas choshev k'chaysev echa. One ois is considered a chaysev. Shtayim have kishtei chaysev ois. If you wrote two, if you wrote two letters, meaning you wrote it obviously over where the opening is or something like that, so then that's enough. The kishtei tfusim, and if it's printed, kama ois. Even though, and if it's written, so every person's writing looks different. But if it's printed, even though there's many, oisius lo chashivi el kachoisiv echad, even shekayvim oisam avasachas, since it's in one printing plate, so then it's like one, if it's just or a stamp. If it's just one stamp, then that's it's gonna be one. It's gonna be considered one chaysim. Right? If you're in a place where they know how to, they're good forgers. Ein ksav simin el lamisha makir haksav. The ksav is only a simin only for the person who knows the ksav. And I guess I don't know. It's not kind of possible according to that story, but according to that, if that knowing that story, where they could go ahead and reproduce tape and I don't know whatever. Honestly, I don't know what kind of simming you would use. You'd have to go ahead and use the camera. I don't know what. Yeah, so the hologram. No, but
they're much more expensive.
right. So that's the thing, is right. In the economy, using yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in China, but right, in general, right, using holograms, these are fancier, stickers, and not just a stamp. Different things like that is hard.
Like people forge holograms
Right. Right, but it has to be worth the, it has to be really worth the, the money. Um, so, so 1 second. Right, so 1 second. So maybe just to go through a few nakudas over here. There is definitely a discussion about that. Like I said, generally, um, generally, right? You said nowadays they put on meat at least, which is a much more of a chash, because then you have all the shitas there. They do put a hologram. They used to put a plumb on, which I get. Nowadays, yeah, they stopped doing it because I think it's the metal. The metal, I think it's to do with the health, and I don't know whatever. But they stopped. They stopped. They stopped doing that. I don't remember. It could be. Upon I think that we'll see. I do think that we're going to get to the thing that if it's in a place where there isn't a lot. Let's go through a bit more. He has a bunch of examples, but I think that we need to see a little bit more to get through it. A key and a lock. It's like two chaysevois. Well, dvarim shadai b'chaysev echim lo hayabo ela mafteach lo chashuv chaysev. If there's just maybe it's not a lock. 1 second. I misunderstand this. Maybe. I guess. Whether there's a lock. Well, the question is, do you need a lock and a seal? Meaning a lock, a key, a maftech, meaning you have a small lock, and you have also like some sort of seal. So if it's al dvarim shlei b'chaysim echad, im lo hayabo el maftech lo chashuv chaysim, because it's not. As far as they pick the lock, put the lock back, whatever. That's not going to be enough of a chaysim. It needs to be some sort of nicker sim. And the Pesach Yeshua talks about a case where there was they had a box and it was nailed shut, and they sent it. Was that good enough for a chaysim or not? But yeah, but it's not whatever. But it's not a chachila. Haga im shaleach eiz davar b'sak. He sent it in a bag. V'chosam hasak. Eno afilu and on the bag they sealed it. Eno afilu chaysim echad. Eli and Cain hafach hatfiros lifnim, unless he did some sort of crazy simon that he turned it inside out. In chasav adavar sheshalach.
That's not very good. That's normal. In other words, if the spheres are accessible from the outside, then you can.
Oh, you want to think that? Oh, I see. Because you say because it can be accessible.
On the inside, you can't get.
I see what you're saying. Okay, fine. That could be. I thought it was because it looked different. Having chasav adavar sheshalach v'gam hasak. If you put a seal on the actual thing and on the bag, then that's gonna be okay. Hey, if you sent him a thigh, a leg, without a chaysim, even if it looks like it does, after I take the gid nasha out, ksheira. V'chein kol chaticha shenikir ba'nikor ha'yisrael v'netilas chut dida v'chut she'etzel chazeh. You see that you got a person who obviously knows nikkur and can recognize it. Now, as we wouldn't, but people who would recognize it. That would be good. And any other piece that comes with it, if it's something which we're worried that they could switch it, it's also even if it's the same shlichus, the same delivery. It's only with meat or some other Issa deraisa. V'im shalach issa derabana kagon gvinos. If it's that you're talking about cheese that maybe a guy switched it, if we can tell that some weren't switched, kula mutaros. The whole the whole delivery is mutter. The ones which are stayed the same are the best in the batch. There's a simin that the fact that the good ones are still intact. Why would he? Why would he want to take the Mitarech himself for the bad quality? For the the sugbed as they call it here. Why would he do that? He want to do it. He want to do the best ones. For shtick. Shalach ayadei ovi kochavim behema of shchutim belochaisem asurim. If you send shechted meat, that it's also she'ain simin shchita simin. At least Michael can say, well, it looks like he shechted it properly, because that's not enough.